Health for Life. This is the first ever medical show on television that deals with prevalent health problems and concerns, and they do so in an easy to listen to question and answer format. To find out what we're discussing today and to introduce us to the visiting specialists, here is the producer and the host of Health for Life, Dr. Surendra Prasad.
Good afternoon. I am Dr. Surendra Prasad, and welcome to another episode of Health for Life. Health for Life is a program designed to inform the public about common medical issues. Today, we will be discussing vaccinations. My guest physician today is Dr. Karen Butters. Dr. Butters is a well-known general practitioner who has been in private practice for over 5 years and currently has an extensive pediatric practice.
I was at a lecture recently, and sooner or later, they're going to deem cervical cancer as a STD.
Well, I am pretty sure they're going to get to that stage because we know that it's human papillomavirus. And now, let's go back to the special cases which you talked about, the teenage girl, or the 8-year-old, not a teenager, the young girl with HIV. It's a clear-cut recommendation that they should get that. Now, what's the status about giving it to boys?
In Guyana, as far as I know, we're not really targeting the boys as yet. But I know in the States, they are targeting the young boys. I'm not too sure about the age, but it's should be above 11.
11 years old.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that.
So now, how you have human papillomavirus and its association, or I guess soon we will talk about its causation, in cervical cancer. Is there a parallel in boys?
With
human papillomavirus?
Papillomavirus in boys?
In penile cancer or anything?
Not that I know of.
Okay. All right. So, but again, it's targeting the whole idea of reducing human papillomavirus infections, which will then lead to a reduction in cervical cancer. Okay. Now, what else? Let's take a moment now to sort of summarize what are those key things we want our viewers to remember about vaccination.
All right. One of the first things you need to remember about vaccinations is that vaccines are safe. Okay. They are effective. Vaccines are basically weakened forms of the viruses or bacterium. They could be a part of that bacterium or a killed, attenuated form of it. And it is given into the body for the body to build some antibodies against that particular disease. Because of vaccines, many people are still alive today. Many people are still alive. And the vaccines usually protect you from these deadly diseases. Just imagine your child has not been vaccinated. About every 3 years, there might be an outbreak of, let's say, whooping cough. Okay. Your child gets in contact with the whooping cough germ and gets whooping cough. Now, that disease, it is much more, in terms of, it's much more deadly for the child for that child to pick up whooping cough and be treated for whooping cough than for that child not to have the vaccine and don't get the whooping cough. Okay. The vaccines usually protect not only you as a person, but it protects the people around you. And you need to remember that, because there are other children, you'll be going into school with other children, and an unvaccinated child is basically one that could get a vaccine, could get a disease and transmit that disease to other unvaccinated children.
Now, I want to come back a little bit to BCG vaccine and what we're trying to do with it. I think the first thing that we need to get across to our viewers and listeners is that not every country in the world gives BCG to children.
That's true.
Right?
We know that Guyana gives it at birth.
So Guyana, all of us Guyanese have gotten it at birth. Now, we have so many families now that are traveling, so many families have chosen to have their children in other countries. And what happens if they've had that child in, let's say, Canada or the United States, which I do not believe gives BCG vaccine,
No.
and that child comes home? What is the recommendation for that child?
A child that comes to Guyana, let's say that is under, I think, 10, and will be living in Guyana, I would advise the mom to let that child be vaccinated against BCG.
Now,
it is a common thing here.
Now, explain to our viewers and listeners, because not all of them might be aware, what is the purpose of giving this vaccination? What is the disease that we are trying to prevent, reduce?
The tuberculosis disease, the tuberculosis is a bacterial disease. Okay. It is caused by droplets with someone who is infected. And if you get in contact with that person and you're not vaccinated as a child, you could get the
and tuberculosis.
bacilli.
Yeah, tuberculosis is a relatively common disease.
Very common in Guyana.
Now, we also need to talk about the little test. There's a skin test we do, and talk about having the BCG vaccine and the interpretation of that skin test. Does it vary?
Yes, we actually do not do the skin testing, or should I say we don't do it? It's not advisable for you to do the skin testing if the child is under 4 years.
Okay.
That's because the BCG vaccine is still active.
Okay.
A child, however, who you suspect will have tuberculosis, you could do the other tests that you could do, the X-ray to see the state of the lungs. You could do the sputum test to see if the bacilli is in the sputum. And you could also, from physical examination and from the clinical presentation, you could suspect that child has TB. What we normally do is send the child to the chest clinic for them to be evaluated or re-evaluated. And the chest clinic, as they evaluate the child, they would let us know whether the child needs to be on meds or not.
Okay. All right. So we are coming down to the last few minutes of the program. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Butters for joining us on the program, where we've been talking about vaccinations. And I'll take the last minute to talk about two things. They're related. This is the month of October, and October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I believe today there was a Breast Cancer Awareness Walk, and as you see on the road, many of the Avon wraps around the trees. And I'd like to tell you that the coming Sunday, our program is going to be on breast cancer. We're going to dedicate an entire hour to speaking with Dr. Bala on breast cancer. The entire program, it will occupy the full hour. We will not be able to take many questions. And I know that is an ongoing challenge, but like I mentioned earlier, please continue to find us on Facebook, continue to look for our website, where we will address many, many of those questions which you have asked and have not been answered.